Wheel tutorial. This video is going to be kind of crazy and rushed, but here's the idea. So I had my old Cyr wheel. I got a new Cyr wheel. It is much bigger than the old one. So I had this bag over here. Basically, it was just a tube with a strap on it and a zipper at the top. Now, my old wheel fits in it, but I want to fly with my new wheel. My flight's in 2 hours. I could fly with the old wheel, or I can really jam the new wheel into the old bag. I don't trust it to hold it well, so I got some materials and I'm going to try to make a new bag. And yeah, that's pretty much it. For materials, I got this really thick canvas, so like the thickest canvas they had in the store. I got 2 yards of it, and I got these 2 zippers because they were badass and metal and they seemed really strong. Sadly, they're only 7 inches. I would have rather like 5-inch for a pocket and a 9-inch for the entrance to stick the wheel in, but I only normally put in 1 piece at a time anyway. The zipper opening on my old bag was about this big, so I think we'll be okay. That's my materials, and obviously I have a sewing machine. The old wheel, the bag around this way, it's about 19.5 to 20 inches. It had pretty much the right amount of slack. It was a little bit of a struggle getting them in there, but once it was in there, it was pretty well form-fitting. If you measure your wheel the shortest way, it's like 13 inches for this one, but when I made a bag, I measured it this way because that was how I wanted to put them in. So this way, it's more like 17 to 18 inches. I guess I plan to give myself 2 inches slack. Measuring around the new wheel this way, we are just about 22 inches, so 24 inches. So it's gonna be 4 inches bigger than the old one. Okay, so the length of my old bag was about 50 inches, which was just 1 inch bigger than the length of my wheel going this way. I'm gonna make the new bag 51, maybe 51.5 inches long. Okay, so here's the basic idea. We're gonna take a piece of fabric and fold it over and stitch it into a bag. So we have our 24-inch circumference, our 52-inch length. We add 1 inch for seam allowance there, 1 inch for seam allowance there. It gets us 53 by 25, but we're gonna go double thick because, as you can see on my old bag, the outer layer starts to rip through, and this was 2 layers thick, and I was really glad it was 2 layers thick. I also reinforced it with duct tape. It would be cool to reinforce the bottom with like leather or something, but I'm not gonna do that this time. It's gonna be 50 by 53. Okay, so I laid out my fabric, and as you can just barely make out, I used my blue chalk pen on my teal fabric to replace my blue fabric for my blue fucking wheel. I marked off my points, so this is 50 by 53, and here's 53 again. So I'm gonna cut out this part and fold it in half and stitch it into one thick piece of fabric. So I've cut out my fabric and I'm just gonna fold it over. Now we have a piece of 2-layer thick fabric. I'm gonna stitch it together super quickly just to not be a pain in the butt when I'm working with it. And the general idea is that this is gonna become a bag that's gonna hold a wheel like this. It seems to be about right. We haven't completely failed yet. Just gonna take a moment to say, if you're one of those people who's all like, Mitch, how do I use a sewing machine? I don't have time for this, man. I gotta have this bag ready in like an hour. So go learn how to use a sewing machine. So I tacked the 2 sides together. I did a really horrible job because I didn't use pins, but it doesn't matter. It's just a stupid bag. So the next step is I'm gonna stick a pocket on one side of this so that I can hold my bolts. And I'm gonna stick that on first because it's gonna be way easier. I think I'm gonna stitch a zipper to a square and then stitch the square to the bag. All right, let me make a square and stick a zipper on it, and I'll show you what I have. So I folded down one side of the fabric, stitched it flat, and then I went over again and stitched the zipper to it. Probably could have done it with just one stitching. No, I'm just gonna fold down all the other sides so it looks a little bit nicer. Okay, so I stitched down all of my ends. So let's just stick this on here. Okay, so I put on the pocket. Probably would have been better if I folded this thing inwards so I don't have this little seam here, but otherwise it looks okay. The only change I made was that I rotated the angle of it so that my wrench would go this way in line with the wheel. So yeah, it's, you know, a little bit open here. Maybe it can be fixed up by hand or something, but for now I'll just keep my screws in a Ziploc bag like I always do anyway, but at least they'll always be with my wheel and I won't forget them like I do every freaking time. It's gonna be easier to attach the handle before I make it into a bag rather than having to get to the inside and not stitch the bag shut. I'm just gonna copy this handle, which I measured and are 30 inches apart, and the piece of fabric that I used is 40 inches long. It was just a square and it's folded over 4 times. The key is that it's wide, so it sits wide on your shoulder unless you clump it, but if you put it down right, it's a lot more comfortable. Maybe I'll add some padding to it at a later date. So I cut myself a square. I'm gonna fold it over. It's about 40 inches long. It's like 20 inches wide. Stitch up almost all 4 sides. I'll turn it inside out. Finish up this with stitching on the outside. Fold it once more. Run along here to make sure it just sort of stays closed, and do the 2 sides. I stitched up 3.5 sides, leaving enough space to turn it inside out. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. This is how they make pillowcases, in case you were wondering. I'm just gonna tuck this in and do stitching on the outside because I don't really give a shit. Okay, so it's stitched shut, fold it over and stitched together. So now we're gonna make 2 markings 30 centimeters apart, and I'm just gonna stitch it in there and see what we get. I stitched on the handle, so we have our zipper. I'm gonna stitch this to here, like this way, so it'll open up that way and we'll have a nice seam, and then I'll do the same on the other side. So I got on one side of my zipper and put this side right here, so, and then when I turn my bag inside out, it will have a nice proper zipper. The zipper is now in. This is what it will look like on the other side of the bag, nice and neat. Now we just need to stitch up this bag while the zipper is open, because I'm a genius, and then turn it inside out from the zipper hole, because I'm a genius. And we'll have a bag. So I was able to stitch around the outside. I went till where I have the zipper and I cut in like below the zipper, and then I just did this whole L, and I did this top part first. So now in theory, if I turn this inside out, I will have a bag. That's the moment of truth. That's the moment of truth. And I did actually stitch twice. I forget that. See what we got. So we turn this. Oh, face out. Holy shit! Here it is. It's a Cyr Wheel bag. We did a team. We tried our best, and we kind of succeeded. It only took like 3 hours and $40, and I broke like 15 needles, but we have a bag. Okay, so we have our zipper along this side edge. We have our little pocket for our keys and stuff, our screws, Allen keys, and we have a strap. Let's put a wheel piece in here. Hope it fits. It fits. Oh, actually quite a bit. I'm not sure. Let's go after this. They use some sides of it. Yeah, that's easy. That's right. That's good. 3 pieces. Look at this. 4 pieces. And 5 pieces. It's all in the back. Now we can zip it up with our handy dandy zipper. And before I fucking forget, put my hardware in here right now. My wrench and all of my screws. Okay. Zip that up. Oh! And we have a Cyr Wheel bag.